All right. Well, welcome everybody. Again, sorry to be annoying and echoing this, but if you could just remember to try to keep yourselves on mute, just so we avoid feedback and everything with the audio. But welcome. Welcome, women and men. We're welcoming all, but just to let you guys know, we will be talking a lot about of all the women fun hormones and periods. We will say that. We will talk about menopause and premenopause and everything that is that of women. So we are welcoming all ears, but just we're letting you know that's our topic today. So, whoops. All right, so I'm going to get into it right now. So today our plan is to help you have a healthy healthy game plan for yourself as a woman. When you think about it, what's the first thing a person does when they're planning to complete their first 5K, half marathon, or start a strength program? The first thing that they do is usually follow a week by week, day by day training plan. They check in with their hydration, their nutrition, they get a coach, they do all these things. Now, when we're told by our mothers, our aunts, our grandmothers, our friends, whomever, all about maturing into a woman, hitting perimenopause and or menopause, we mostly hear of all the annoying bad things, right? We rarely hear an in-depth combo or game plan of things to prepare for, understand what our bodies are actually going to be going through, and all these different types of changes. No one kind of really lays it all out and say, hey, this is what's going to happen, and this is how our body's going to harmonize, or this is how we can harmonize with our body to get through all this so we can still achieve all our goals. So today, again, since no one usually really tells us a full out game plan, and if you do, awesome, you have great people around you. But if no one really tells you this game plan, this is what Emily and I are planning to do. So before we rip into a game plan for you or kind of tell you everything, first you got to get to know us. So I'm going to hand it to Emily to kind of give her background and her passion in the field and things like that. So Emily, take yourself off mute. Sorry.
Forgot I put myself on mute. Thanks. All right. I'm Emily. I'm the assistant program manager here and an EXOS coach. I've been working in the field for about 3 years now, but my whole life I've always been an athlete, and now I work with athletes. I coach high schoolers. So I'm around for 3 months out of the year. I'm around 30 teenage women. And then here at work, I work with people of all ages and genders. And I just want to start this call by telling you guys about something that I heard the other day when I was scrolling through Instagram like the rest of us. It was a woman saying, like, when we grow up as women, we're always told to be a good mother, to be a good friend, to be a good woman. It's always being good to somebody else is what makes you good in other people's eyes. And why does everyone's like, oh, they did this for their family. She's such a good, strong woman. But we're kind of here to tell you about how you can be good to yourself to make yourself a good, strong woman. Because we believe that if you want to be a good, strong woman for those other people in your life, you need to be a good, strong woman for yourself first. So I wanted to leave you with that knowledge before we get started.
I think we could just end it there, right? No, but that is mostly our takeaway for everything. That you got to put yourself first, because if you're healthy and happy, you're going to make everybody around you healthy and happy as well. But that was awesome, Emily. Surprised me with that one. But I'm Megan. I'm an EXOS coach, the manager here at Philly Insurance Gym, and I've been in the field for way too long. It'll make me start feeling old if I tell you the years. But I've recently, in the last like 4 or 5 years, I've really gravitated to just women's health. I've been gathering certifications, nerding out on this topic, and trying to figure out ways to help people or help women going through from their teens to, post-menopause ages, and then also helping women pre and post pregnancies as well. So I'm all things women right now, but I have trained 10-year-olds to 60-year-olds, and have, definitely heard all the struggles of, I'm gaining all this weight and I have no idea. I've been having hot flashes. How the hell do I get rid of these hot flashes? And that's why I was like, we need to dig deep here and figure this out. So that's a little of us, of Emily and I. We definitely are here for you, and we are you. So we relate to a lot of things. So let's get this started. Let's start this deep dive in. But again, feel free to take yourself off mute if you have a question in the moment, or if you want to throw it in the chat. One of us who have our eyes on the chat will catch it, and if not, we'll follow up later. But let's get into the trenches. All right, so like we said, we are all different shapes and sizes, we have different genetics, we're different ages, but the one thing we all are at birth are women. We go through very, very extremely similar chapters of life physically and somewhat mentally. We can all relate. So as I briefly explain each chapter, know that this is all being told to help you harmonize with your body and what it's going to go through or what it is going through. It's not to start the mindset of how I need to avoid what's going to occur, or this is about to occur and I'm going to go through things that I don't want. It's like, it's going to happen. So let's harmonize with it. So let's get to the next slide where we dig into our ages. All right. So the stage of a woman from 20 to 50 plus years of age is right here in a nutshell. Side note, if you have any athletic, active teenagers in your life, a lot of this information is amazing to share to them, because I remember, and Emily can definitely relate, when I was in high school and going through like getting my period, maturing and things like that, and I was still an athlete. It was like, whoa, what's happening? Like, why I'm growing boobs and this, and it's like, and I'm getting slower when I have to work harder. So if you have any teenagers, please feel free to take notes and help them throughout their changes. So I have, I just mentioned puberty. We all hopefully have been past this. We're all of age on this call, but puberty is where we're introduced to all the lovely hormones of womanhood. And then between ages 20 or 30, or even teenagehood to 30s, we go to premenopause, aka when we're fertile. This is when you feel great, finally feel 100% on how your hormones affect you month by month. Those estrogen, progesterone, and all the other hormones are at their peaks. Mid to late 30s, you may start noticing slight changes starting. And you want to start checking in and start your perimenopause framework, or your knowledge about what's happening, what's going to happen later on. But don't worry, you're not there yet. You're not hitting that menopause. Also, a side note too, between whatever age you feel, or you by accident or feel like it, you get pregnant, or you decide to get pregnant between 20s or 40s. If you choose to become pregnant, this is when your hormones go haywire, and you kind of start noticing, whoa, these hormones have something to say. So pregnancy is a good way to test how your hormones affect you. But then we go into our 40s, and our 40s, which I train a lot of people in their 40s or their post 40s, but that perimenopause time, this is when we start to notice a lot of changes. And sometimes we're puzzled by what's going on. We get the changes in our mood, we get that brain fog, metabolism changes, which is the biggest thing, that unusual weight gain where you're like, where is this coming from? Then you have the hot flashes, there's vaginal dryness, low sex drive, change in your period schedule, sleep insomnia, all that fun stuff that we as women can handle. And then we get into our 50s or more, and we hit menopause. Don't fear, embrace the change. When you officially hit menopause, this is when you have your, you stop having your period for 12 solid months consecutively. That is when you officially get that certificate, and it's like, menopause, you're here. Some of you still might have those perimenopause symptoms. Some of them stop for people. The thing that kind of usually carries over is that weight management issue. That's a big one. I call it the menopausal belly. where it's just like, where'd this belly fat come from? That stuff all kicks in. I'll kick it now back to Emily. I gave you that quick little overview of our ages, but now I'm going to give it back to Emily to remind you that even though we are all women and we have a number of similarities, we all still have to remember that not one size fits all, and it still comes to our individual strategic plan. So let me get to the next slide. There you go.
So like Megan was saying, not one size fits all, and that kind of encompasses life, but definitely the fitness, nutrition piece. So as we talk about hormones and menopause, a lot of us are looking to lose weight or looking to enhance our health. It's not, weight loss isn't always your goal. It doesn't have to be your goal. But when you are looking to make those changes, you need to do what feels good for you. You need to do what you're going to enjoy. So whether that means doing, yoga every day, or going for a run every day, or going for a walk, you need to try new things and find out what works for you. And it's the same for nutrition as well. So as your hormones are changing, the same nutrition that you might have been doing for X amount of years might not be what's the best for your health as you age. So trying new things, changing things up is going to be really important. And the biggest thing that I hope you take away from what I'm saying is do not eat and move the same as other people you see. So just because your sister-in-law is doing whatever diet and she lost 20 pounds doesn't mean that if you do that diet, you're going to lose 20 pounds. And sometimes it doesn't even mean that that diet's healthy just because she lost weight very rapidly. And that can be the same for movement. Everybody wants to give their 2 cents of, we all talk about weight and weight loss and nutrition and fitness with each other all the time. We always see it on the internet. Everybody wants to give their opinion, give you what they're doing, but you really need to find what works for you and what you enjoy, because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to continue it as a habit. And we can go to the next slide. All right, so then let's talk about setting those goals and setting yourself up for success. Megan briefly talked about this earlier, but when you set your goals, you really need to be mindful. So you need to dig deep and think like what it is you really want for yourself and why. That's going to be the most important question, is why. So if you want to lose weight, why do you want to lose weight? Is it because you want to feel more confident in your clothes? Is it because you want to keep up with your grandchildren? There's a lot of reasons for why, but you need to figure that out for yourself so that when you set up your plan, your intentions are set and you're ready to go. And you need to set realistic expectations for yourself of, how often, what you're going to be doing, things like that, and writing that plan down, keeping yourself on track. And always, we're here for you. Come ask us for help. We can help you set your plan, set your goals. We can help you make your plan, and we can help you stay on track. That's what we're here for. But I think my biggest tip I always give everyone for staying on track with a plan is put it in your calendar. Put everything in your calendar. Put your workout in your calendar. Put, I'm going to cook dinner tonight. Put that in your calendar, your meal prep, whatever it is that you have trouble holding yourself accountable without a material thing. Make it material, write it down, and help yourself. And you're going to be your key to success.
Accountability, you're throwing it to yourself, right? All right, so hitting the wall, breaking through the wall. This is where we're going next. All right, so right off, read that post. We should, as women, we relate that due to the influx or the increase of hormones, that you could burst into tears or kill someone in 5 minutes, and you don't know what your hormones are going to have you do. So the wall, I call it the wall, aka this is how you tell your hormones are imbalanced. You can hit this wall, during pregnancy, post-pregnancy. Some people hit it when they're coming off of birth control. You can hit it, and then mostly the rest of us all hit it when we're approaching that perimenopause or that menopause time. You want to remember that when you're first checking in with yourself regarding your hormones, you want to assess things when you're quote unquote normal. Yeah, normal is a hard word, but when when you're not dealing with outside stressors like a big move or a death in the family or friends or relationship issues or financial issues, you don't want to sit and assess your hormones at the particular time, because obviously your body and your mind are going through other things that are kind of hard to regulate, if this is emotional because of the situation, or if this is because my body's like, woo, something's happening. So things to look for. All right, the physiological symptoms that we have: irritability, anxiety, depression, difficulty concentrating, mood swings, sleep insomnia, or just the trouble sleeping, mental fatigue. Those symptoms are a lot of the times your body's starting to wave the white flag saying, help, something's happening. And a lot of times these things like start sneaking up, like the sleep insomnia. I remember talking to somebody and they're like, I'm just having so much trouble sleeping. Their life was awesome. And then after they started telling me they were having issues with their sleep, all of a sudden they're like, I'm getting these night sweats now. And I'm like, oh, what? And then I started thinking of supplements they're taking, and they're like, no, like I'm only taking a multivitamin. And then they started talking about some other like mood swings, and it was like, oh, ding, 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 something different's happening that we thought. Some of the physical symptoms that are notorious that you hear about that happen to us when our hormones are kind of going a little haywire is that we get hot flashes, which are different from night sweats. Night sweats I have, and then that weight gain, which also I would like to highlight, and you'll hear me say a lot of the time, the menopausal belly, where we get that belly fat start growing, and it's like, where is this coming from? And then you have vaginal dryness, low sex drive, bloating, and changes in your cycle. I know in the 40s is when sometimes you're like, oh, it's been a couple of extra days since I got my period, or wait, what day is it? Should I have it now? So those type of thoughts start creeping in your head. You might want to start tracking and seeing where you are with your cycle. So those are some of the symptoms that happen or creep up, and they're kind of the warning signs, like, hey, something's going on differently in our bodies, and things like that. But after you do a little self-check and you figure out to yourself, like you notice that you're having that weight gain and you can't get it off the same way you used to, and you're having that unusual trouble sleeping where you're like, I have sleep insomnia now and night sweats, like what is going on? After you kind of check in with yourself and you figure that out, it's time to call in the big guns. If you're 30 and older, it's time to check in with your doctor. If you've already gone through menopause and you're still dealing with hormonal imbalance symptoms, it's time to have another convo with your doctor, or possibly get a second opinion. You want to ask your doctor if you can get blood work done to check your hormone levels, or if you already had that done, another big thing that will help you is to get your thyroid check. Remember, your thyroid is kind of like the mothership of your hormones, and your thyroid will definitely indicate if something's going a little bit haywire, or things are just kind of changing. So a thyroid check is very important and good to do. There are also at-home tests that you can also purchase. I'm not sure about if insurance will cover them or whatnot, but you can do at-home tests as well, like a women's health test or a female hormone test. There are a lot out there. I recommend to do your research before obviously getting the test, just so you're getting a reliable, viable test. You can also ask your doctor if they have any referrals about at-home tests. And the at-home test will be that little, just like if you're checking your blood sugar level or you're doing the first trimester screening for your pregnancy, it's this little prick that you do on your finger, that you just do, and then put it on the paper, do whatever amount of dabs and send it in, and then you get all your results later. Another thing I want to highlight, if you're finding that you have that hormonal imbalance, that if you feel that your doctor isn't connecting with you the way that meets your needs, go on the hunt for a doctor that is focused on women's health, or a female hormone specialist. There's so much more there's so many more specialists and, women doctors or male doctors too, that are focusing on this. This is like prime time for us women and people finally diving into what really goes on with us. So go for a hunt, find somebody that clicks with what you're looking for, and know that there is so much new research being done regarding synthetic and natural hormone therapy, that it might intrigue you, but also know that stick to what you feel comfortable with, because it's your body and it's your life. And if you disagree with synthetic hormone therapy or natural hormone therapy, then don't have somebody that's pushing that on you, and like kind of have you go into it without you wanting to do it. All right, so priority list. We're moving into this. Please know that the best way to harmonize with your imbalanced or balanced hormones is staying consistent. Consistency is key. Hormones already have a really tough time regulating themselves. When you throw inadequate sleep or long periods of fasting without eating, your hormones are now trying to deal with these new stressors along with their natural stressors to simply just maintain normal levels. So consistency is key. If you want to jot this down or screenshot this is my priority list for you to try to keep things consistency and just kind of have your little checklist of what to do, just to stay consistent and general for those hormones. I forgot to put this on, it's on there, sorry. But one of the biggest things, and I'm going to say it all in different orders probably than it's listed on the slide, but the biggest thing I say is hydration. Hydration fixes everything. You got cramps, hydrate. You got a headache, hydrate. You're a little moody, hydrate. Do everything with hydration. Always check in with that. The next thing I have that I'm going to talk about is sleep. Get 7+ hours of sleep. If you are like, no, I can function on 5 hours, you're lying to yourself. Go do a week of 7 hours of sleep and see how you feel. You'll come back and you'll be like, all right, maybe I should increase my sleep. So yeah, try 7+ hours of sleep. The other thing is that you want to have a balanced diet. You want to have a diet that contains proteins, fibers, yes, carbohydrates, and fats. You want to increase, as it shows on the slide, you want to increase your protein intake as you enter each phase of womanhood. So you need to increase that protein because your body, when your hormones start to flatten out or go down or go low, your body needs a better amount of protein to help process protein up or keep that lean muscle mass going and all that. You want to also remember to not neglect your carbohydrates and your fats. They are extremely important for women to have at each phase of womanhood. So much new research has been thrown out there where, a lot of the things we've heard are not good. So, the one thing is that women burn carbs for energy rather than fats. Also, you need carbs to help burn fats. And this means that you need those carbs to help you train or work out and to perform everyday activities so your brain and your body have enough energy. One little fun fact is that researchers have now started to recommend for women to start eating their carbs earlier in the day, in the first half of their day. And so it's not saying don't stop eating carbs. It's just saying eat them earlier in your day. And that's when your body is less carb sensitive. So your body is ready to process those carbs and turn them into energy quicker and better earlier part of the day. And then during the rest of the day, your body's like, sweet, now we have those carbohydrates as energy and we can function through the day and burn them through the entire day. So I will stop on the little tangent of carbohydrates, but no, stop going for those low carb diets. They're just adding basically more stress to your life. We need carbohydrates as women. We burn them up quickly. Also fats. We need fats to help with our hormone production. Fats like omegas also help with our hair, skin, and nails. So why not? So remember those healthy fats. Workout wise, cardiovascular, you want to get your cardiovascular workout, your cardio workout and weekly, but it's also extremely important to get the 2, or I say way more than 2 days of strength training in. if you want the secret of, managing your weight through all stages of life, strength training is the secret. Strength training and high intensity training at your own levels, your own intensity, increase when ready for you. But that is the key workout factor to get the best results of maintaining your weight and to avoiding the menopausal belly fat. It helps you, regulate your sugars, aka the carbohydrate, helps you regulate fats, proteins. And also, if you feel like you're losing control of your mood, your anxiety, your life, weight training is a great way to gain control for yourself, and it's a great release of stress. So I can't emphasize enough, and I feel like I spent tons of time on this slide. I'm sorry, but these are really important to me, and strength training is like, woof, it's the kicker. All right. All right, I'm going to try not to be long-winded again, but this is something that, again, women, it's our time right now. People are looking into way better research for us. They're not doing studies on all these men and have one woman in this research study and say, yeah, this is good for women. Like, things are changing like no other, which is amazing. So now that you did that little self-check, that deep dive into figuring out your hormones and that levels, now it's time for us to learn or get to know that menstrual cycle all over again and have it work for you. If you don't get your period, if you're taking birth control or you're postmenopause, it just stopped, you're on the cooler side of life. You can sync up with the moon. The moon, that's kind of how things started with us for women, like our cycles and stuff. So you can sync up with the moon. I'll explain this as well. But for all women who are 13 years to 50 years old, it's extremely important to know how you feel during your menstrual cycle or your new moon or your new cycle, post-menopause or while you're on birth control, so you can optimize your workouts and successfully obtain your goals instead of sitting there and going, I'm just gaining all this weight and it won't come off. I've been doing 5 hours of cardio a day and nothing's happening. We can definitely change that if you just sink in and kind of harmonize with things. So I'm going to try to explain this, what these two big pictures are saying. I'm going to try to explain it without getting confusing, and I'm going to explain it in 2 different ways, but we're going to learn how to sync your workouts with your cycle. Also, like Emily and I are trying to give you take a note for here. The biggest takeaway that I'm going to say is listening to your body. I think Emily already said it earlier. So the biggest thing we want is you have to listen to your body. Your body gives you these signals for a reason. Tuning into knowing how you feel during each phase of your cycle will help you, do that. Listen. If you have no idea what your cycle is, wait for your next period. Start to track how you feel. If you don't have a period, start to wait till the next new moon, the next brand new moon. Well, that's where you're going to start. There are tons of apps out there to help you track, and the trackers out there, they'll want you to track your mood, your physical and mental fatigue, body temperature, either by taking your temperature or just going with the way you feel, and your sleep. For me, I can tell the minute, I know TMI is going to happen, but the minute I am ovulating, when I'm out there working out, I am sweating like no other. I'm like, why am I so hot? And it's because it's day 10, day 11. That's what's happening. Same thing when I am gonna get my period. I also am I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, my insides are burning. Like, what is going on? I'm just so overheated. And it's because, a lot of stuff's going on. So those are 2 warning signs I know right away where it's like, whoa, I got to check in. What day is it? But now I'm going to go into the cycles and what you should be doing at each cycle. And basically it's mapped out just like we do for our period. It's mapped out for a month. So our first phase is our menstrual cycle, or the new moon phase. And this is the time when you get your period. During this time, you have low energy. Obviously, all of us can relate to that. You have that low energy. This doesn't mean that you just go on the couch and sit and watch Netflix and chill. It does mean that for day 1 through day 5, depending on who you are, and if you're following your period, the length of your period, it's time to take it down a notch. You can do some yoga, some low intensity, long duration cardio, walking, biking, elliptical. And you can start working on the form of your exercises or your weight training with lower weights or lighter weights. Form is huge. So why not take advantage of when you don't feel like lifting heavier weights? Do it then. Phase 2. This is called your follicular phase, and this is usually between day 5 and day 13. Remember, everybody's cycle is a little different. This is also the first quarter moon. This is when you start to feel back to normal with your energy levels. I think on the pink slide, it says it's time to party. Or no, that's not time to party until the full moon. We are on the full moon. Yeah, so, this is the time that you want to, you feel great. Things are feeling good. You can start to increase your weight. You can start increasing your weights then, increasing your workout intensity, trying new workouts and everything like that. Then we get into that third phase, that ovulation cycle or that ovulation phase, and that can happen for anybody at day 10 to day 21, depending on who you are. That's the full moon phase as well. This is when the time to party. It's when you have the most energy, you're feeling strong, and you're completely ready to lift those heavy weights, do a HIIT workout, do a high intensity workout, or do a Tabata workout. Me personally, I always feel strong during this phase. But, obviously, like I already said, my body temperature rises during this time too. So I'm lifting heavier weights, but then I sometimes have to check in with myself because I'm like, I need to check in on my hydration because I'm sweating more. And I don't want that muscle fatigue to happen just because I'm dehydrated and my internal temperature is kind of rising. That fourth phase, the luteal phase, day 21 to 28. Remember, everybody's cycle is different again. This is the last quarter moon. This is when your body's getting ready for your period, or surprise, you're getting ready or you're pregnant and you didn't know if you're planning on it or not. But during this time, that's when that's happening. It's either your period or you're pregnant. And this is when your energy level starts to decrease. And it's time to slow down that progression to that long duration of low intensity, do that yoga, gradually start lowering your weights again, work on form and maintenance of your strength. And I'm going to now say this all over again as a 4-week training program. So in a nutshell, this is what your training program would look like. Week 1, 3 to 4 days, you want to try to get in 30 minutes or more of low, moderate intensity of cardio, walking, biking, slow runs. And you want to get 2 to 3 days of low to moderate weight training where you can throw in some yoga and some recovery as much as you can, like the foam rolling and things like that. Week 2, you have 2 or 4 days of moderate to higher intensity strength training. You can throw in 2 to 3 days of high intensity workouts for runners. Feel free to throw in some hill workouts, fartlek workouts, speed training a little bit more. Remember, at this time, you want to personalize your intensity level. So if you're ready and you were waiting from last month, you're like, I was lifting 10s for my bicep curls. Let's go up to 12 this week. You have those days right here to kind of work on those muscle groups and increase your weights. And then also when you're weight training, just a reminder, you don't want to do the same muscle group back to back. You don't want to burn out. So you don't want to do push-ups 5 days a week. You want to do, chest and triceps, back and biceps, or do a total body, take a rest day, then do a total body, take a rest day, which is that cardio and stuff. All right, so now I'm getting there. Week 3, you can repeat the last week I said, time to progress, increase your intensity and your workouts and your weights. Runners, this is also, again, this is your time to shine and working on that speed work or that long pushing yourself for those long runs. Week 4, you're bringing it back down. You want that active recovery from what you just did to yourself. You have that yoga, the lower weights, and you're working on that form, lower and longer durations of cardio, slow down those runs. It's maintenance time. And then bam, the next month comes, you go in that same progression. So if you guys are intrigued by this or whatnot, please let me know. And we can send out kind of what I just babbled out to you guys, if you would like it. But in a nutshell, that's what you should be doing, is harmonizing the way your body feels, figuring out your cycle, and working with it so you can hit those weights hard, feel the changes, get that weight management going, get, that definition going, that strength and everything like that appropriately. I'm going to kick it back to Emily now. Just going to get into some fuel for your body.
Give me 1 second. I'm sorry, Mike.
Oh, all right.
All right, never mind. Sorry. The maintenance guy's here. All right. So let's talk about fueling your body, because you'll definitely need that through all of the phases, especially if you're following a fitness routine. And I'll start off with my fact that I always like to give you guys if you haven't heard it before. 1,200 calories is the daily requirement for a toddler. I see that number a lot. I hear it a lot of a lot of people being like, I'm only eating 1,200 calories. That is not enough calories. Unless you are the size of a toddler and not active, then it's not enough calories for you, especially as you're going through these phases of getting your period and things like that, and exercising and needing to fuel yourself. So I'll kind of kick it back to what Megan was saying about strength training being really important. We all are always like, how can I eat more, and not gain weight? We always want to know, how can we eat more and not gain weight? So building muscle is going to increase what's called your basal metabolic rate. And your basal metabolic rate is how many calories you burn at rest throughout a day. So if you do absolutely nothing your whole day, that's how your basal metabolic rate is, how many calories you're burning. Once you get up and move at all, you're burning calories. If you're adding exercise to your day, then you're burning a lot more calories. And that's when you really need the fuel for your body. So as Meg said before, carbs are your friend, especially before exercising. So that's what you're going to burn while you're exercising, is the carbs. That's what's going to fuel us. And that's what our brain mostly uses for exercise, or for fuel for itself. So if you're exercising and you're feeling a lot of brain fog after your exercise, it's probably because you didn't have enough carbohydrates before you began. But we need to keep a balance. So you also need the healthy fats. That's what's going to keep you full through your day. A lot of people like to avoid fats or carbs or both, but in order to feel full and stay full, you really need to make sure you're getting your full spectrum of nutrients. So fats are going to be really important, and they're going to be a way that you get your omega-3 fatty acids, which we'll kind of bump back to in a minute. And then protein. Protein is going to be really important for building the muscle. So you just did a big workout, you want to eat that protein after to repair the muscles and build, because like I said, if you build muscle, you'll have a higher basal metabolic rate, which means you get to eat more or it means really you should eat more as well. But fiber is also going to be really important. It's what's going to help you feel full. It's really going to fill your stomach, and it's going to help you stay full as well in conjunction with that healthy fat. But we need to balance, right? So you see 3 pretty different plates that I chose to put a picture of, because your favorite foods are always going to be part of a balanced diet. That's where balance comes from. When we say balanced diet, we don't mean just eating healthy, textbook healthy foods, because all foods can fit into a healthy diet. But the one thing all 3 of these plates have in common is that they do include all of those nutrients that I just mentioned, the healthy fats, the protein, the fiber. And it really is a good example of focusing on what you can add. That's what I like to tell a lot of people when they're building a plate of food, is what can you add to it to make it more nutritious, not what can you take away. So if you look at the plate with the eggs, they added a multi-grain bread there because they realized they needed a little bit more carbs, a little bit more fiber. So they added a little bread there. The egg and the avocado are a great example of adding more protein. The slice of pizza. Who doesn't love a good slice of pizza? You have your carbs, your fiber, your protein, your calcium there. But when you're going for a slice of pizza, think, oh, like maybe I could add something fresh, add more color to this. A salad on the side is a great example of addition to make a more balanced, more nutritious meal. So I really hope if you take one thing away, it's kind of that mindset of adding to make your plate more nutritious. And then our salmon and asparagus here with the side of potatoes. I think a lot of us are tempted to like be like overly healthy and like just eat the salmon and the asparagus, but those potatoes are what's going to help to fill the stomach and keep us full for longer. So the reason that this balance is so important for us when we're talking about hormones is, we can switch to the next slide, is supplements. So a lot of people talk about supplements and think that they need to be taken in a pill form, but a lot of the nutrients we want to be trying to get from our food first. And then if we're not reaching those goals, so if you do go to your doctor and get your hormones tested and things, and you go over your diet and you're really having trouble reaching them, that's when you reach for the supplements. But a few vitamins and minerals that are going to help with hormone balance are going to be magnesium, B vitamins, your probiotics for your gut health, omega-3 fatty acids, and vitamin D. But they can all be found in all of the um, foods that I kind of mentioned. So a lot of those really fibrous foods that we're saying are important. So a fibrous food is going to be a multigrain like and whole grain, so like brown rice, oatmeal, and all of your vegetables, apples, pears, berries, avocados, leafy greens, they're all going to have a lot of fiber. But those same ingredients that you think of having a lot of fiber are going to have a lot of the nutrients that I just mentioned that you're going to want more of to help balance your hormones. So we really want to focus as women also on getting calcium, iron, and again, those omegas, which I mentioned a couple seconds ago. So from food is going to be our top source. That's what we're looking for. That's why we need that balance of having all of our food groups on the plate, because they all bring their different nutrients, as well as I mentioned it, the like rainbow of colors. So all the different colors that you see presented in like fruits and vegetables, they're all going to bring their own makeup and have like a slightly different nutrient and vitamin brought to the table. A question that we got about helping with hot flashes and if there's any supplements that you can take, things like that. In the research that I've done, I saw a few random supplements get thrown out, that it was kind of like it's shown that women who eat more of this have less hot flashes, but when that nutrient was tested on its own, it didn't have an effect on hot flashes. So I don't feel like any of the research that I did would be conducive to telling you like, yeah, take this supplement to reduce your hot flashes. But what I did find are more natural remedies. So like avoiding alcohol, hot and spicy foods, and caffeine is shown to help reduce hot flashes. Not smoking is really going to help, especially because smoking affects your circulatory system. So if you are a smoker, you're going to be more susceptible to those hot flashes. And then just finding natural ways to cool yourself down. So open a window, turn on a fan, get in the AC, kind of things hopefully we're already thinking of doing. And then having a cool beverage can help as well. Megan, I don't know if you have anything to add on the supplements piece, or if we have any questions.
So the supplements, yeah, Emily, you hit a lot. But I think it definitely for women as we age, we want to think of that iron. We want to think of the fats, the healthy fats, the omegas. We want to think of the calcium to help with that bone density, keeping them strong. Because a lot of times when our estrogen and progesterones, they're like brother and sister. They just annoy the crap, or sister and sister, whatever, brother and brother. They annoy the crap out of each other, and they kind of, though, in the long run, help each other. And then when they're starting to drop down, they need now help from what were the nutrients. Our body is like, wait, these two knuckleheads are now not here to help us. Can you give us we need some more iron, we need some more calcium and things like that. So that's important. And yeah, like Emily and I've been saying, carbs and fats are really important too. But yeah, so I do have two questions that were brought up that I'm going to hit on. And I knew Emily, we called this that intermittent fasting. So I literally just did some extra research today, this morning on my way in. I was listening to some research because I'm a nerd, but about intermittent fasting. And there is so many more things to come out about women and fasting. First off, that intermittent fasting, all that, you can totally, so it works for some people, okay, but for women, I suggest stop eating 2 hours after dinner, 2 hours prior to going to bed, and don't resume eating until the morning. Right there, usually you got 12 hours of fasted time, 12 healthy hours of fasted time. A lot of us, like, we need those carbs and we need that energy. Our body burns fat and carbs way differently than males. So we need that consistent food. Our bodies have way more, we're denser, we're bigger, no matter what. Even if you're thin, big, or whatever, we still have more fat than males, and we need the energy throughout the day. When our brains, we are thinking, like, how many times, if you're a parent or a teacher or anything, like a mom or a woman knows everything going on because our brains are operating and think of 20 million things at a time. What do we need to have that brain operate? We need energy, we need food. So fasting, yeah, if you want to try it, I tried it. It does not work for me. It just made me more irritable. I had anxiety. I was pissed. So why am I going to do something that's going to make me feel that way, first off? And then, yeah, Emily, I see you smiling and nodding. It's totally right. Like, it makes,
Yeah, I like to call it fancy starvation.
yeah. And
You're starving yourself. You're not allowing yourself to eat during a certain period of time. And like, why are you doing that to yourself? Because you're not letting yourself eat when you're hungry until you get to what, 11 o'clock in the morning. Then you finally eat, you binge, and then you're realizing that you have to stop eating at 6 o'clock. So you binge again before that 6 o'clock because you're afraid that you're going to be hungry later. So, like, why do we keep instilling fear in ourselves around food? It's
doesn't,
we're creating it for ourselves.
and again, if you want to do the fasting, just stop eating 2 hours before you go to bed, and then don't eat until morning when you're ready to get going. That's at least 12 hours if you're getting those 7 hours of sleep. Like I said, you should on your priority list.
Yeah.
But if you're getting, that's 12 hours of that fasting where you're going to get that cell regeneration and things like that from the benefits they say from fasting. But sorry that Emily and I both knocked it. Hey, try it out for yourself. See,
I'll say in the morning, if you're not hungry right when you wake up before you go to work, don't eat that. Don't eat until you're hungry. That's fine. But don't not allow yourself to eat when you become hungry because you have a preconceived time that you decided you're allowed to eat.
But also, side note, if you're having a training session at 6 a.m. with Emily or I, you better had a banana in you or a thing of yogurt and forced yourself to have a little thing of food, because you work harder when you're full. You don't have a great workout session when you're starving yourself. Your body, it's like, what's the point of that workout when you're sitting there like, oh, well, I'll burn more calories. No, you're not going to burn more calories because you're starving and your body's like, we can't go any faster. We can't lift anymore. We need food. If you if you give yourself food before that workout, you're going to hit it hard, burn every calorie during that session, and then your body's going to keep burning to try to make those muscles bigger. So yeah. Any questions? Sorry. Yeah, we did knock fasting, but again, try it if you want it, but a lot of research has been coming out there. And so Emily and I have also, yeah, we've seen it, we've tried it. It doesn't, it's an interesting thing. Also the keto diet, I know that's a big thing. Do your research. Keto diet was made for a male population that was going under for drastic weight loss. They were going under surgeries, and you know, it was a clinical population for males, that it was a quick way for them to lose weight so they could get a life-saving or not life-saving type of surgery. Once that people saw that they had such success with weight loss, it went viral. But it's not for everybody. Yeah, there's cool things of the keto diet that you can pull from. But again, as women, it is a fat high type of diet, and women burn fat differently than males. Males burn fat way faster than women. We burn carbohydrates way faster than males. So we need those carbohydrates. And fats are good. Like, we're not knocking fats, but men can tolerate fats differently than we can. That's why they have great success usually with that keto diet. Usually for us, we have that success at first because, just like anything, if you follow something, it will change you, good or bad. But
my rule of thumb, which rolls out keto for me, is if there's a diet that demonizes fruit, it's probably not a good option.
yeah. So, and then I had another question, which, yes, this is another important question. Do your hormones affect hair loss? And yes, they do. So if you think one, and if you haven't been in that pregnancy world, I will tell you, when you see a woman, they went through pregnancy, they noticed their hair got thicker or thinner, hair loss, then they have the baby, and all of a sudden they have these little hairs that they're like, what is this growing? And it's all new hair coming. So right there, it shows your hormones were crazy during that pregnancy. And now at the end of it, your hair is growing back into a new, cooler way. I remember one of my coworkers, when she was pregnant, she had pin straight hair, like Emily's pin straight hair. And all of a sudden she had curly hair. So your hormones do affect that. Another thing with hair loss, that a lot of us in the work world, we sometimes have too much stress going on personally and in the work world. And we have so much stress that our cortisol levels are always up and rise, are staying up high. Our adrenal glands are at capacity and they are just like tapped out. And when, you know, in that high stress level, your body is now just trying to, it's sink or swim type of thing. And a lot of times when your adrenal glands and everything are drained, your hair, it shows in your hair. So you'll see in some people, I've noticed in males, a lot of time their eyebrows start falling off. Sia, I have the chat up. So Sia, thanks for joining. But a lot of males that you watch, I've noticed their eyebrows start coming out when they're really high stress situation. Women, I've noticed and heard hair loss or hair thinning. So yeah, you want to check in with yourself, and definitely it could be something totally different with hair loss too, but hormones can definitely mess with that. Do we have any other questions? You got us.
There's one, Meg, about, it says, are there any resources or tips for women with PCOS, which actually I've never heard of, so I looked it up. Hopefully it's the same thing. Polycystic ovary syndrome.
Oh.
I don't know much about it. I don't know if you do.
I don't have anything off the top of my head. Yeah, I don't have anything off the top of my head. I'm sorry, but
I think that this would be where I would say, I'm assuming you got a medical diagnosis if you're asking about it. So following whatever your doctor has suggested, and if what they're suggesting isn't working, Meg made this suggestion earlier for hormonal changes, but same for this. If what your doctor is saying isn't working, definitely go and ask for a second opinion.
Yeah, I'll also brush off the dust with that one and email you. I wrote your name down. So yeah. And Jackie Hunter, I wish I knew all this stuff before I was 30 years old. And this is why I took a deep dive and I am trying to scream on top of the mountains to inform all of you. So yeah, when we're in our late 30s, time to wake up. But all right, guys. Well, we're at our time. Please, we have another 2 minutes. If you have any questions, please feel free. I'm gonna